So I had some time with the Great Journey update for Halo Infinite, and I want to talk to you guys about it because this Halo 2 theme playlist is amazing, as well as some of the other additions when it came to like Forge and the Sandbox update. Now it crucially changed some of the most prominent weapons in the game, and I wanted to talk about it, give you my thoughts, my opinions, and how this will actually make Halo worth playing again right now. Was it worth installing? Was it worth playing Halo Infinite again in 2024? The big question is, do you have nostalgia for Halo 2? But if you guys like these type of informational videos and critique videos, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get right into those details. So let's start off with the big ticket item. For me personally, I think most people out there as well, and that's going to be the Delta Arena playlist and how it's going to be mimicking classic Halo 2 experience, but in Halo Infinite. And then there's some positives, but some negatives as well. Clearly the positive being no sprint, no clamper, increased jump height, and player collision. There is no friendly fire, so you can just kind of throw grenades however you feel like it, unlike classic Halo 2, which I kind of wish they did that for just this mode in particular to try to mimic the classic Halo feel. But you know, I prefer, especially with social modes, that with friendly fire off. That's just me though. I do find myself oftentimes when playing this mode to just hit sprint as soon as I spawn, and like, oh yeah, I hit shift and nothing happens because there is no sprint in this mode. But the forging for these maps are so well done. You might think, okay, it's just forge maps, boo, boring, whatever. That's not the case with these forge maps. These forge maps feel and play like dev maps. Like the only thing that would stop it from looking like a full-on dev map is some baked-in lighting. That's the only thing. Other than that, they play so well. They look amazing because they're created by the community, not from internal teams that we've seen previously, like the previous seasonal updates that we've seen or operational updates that we've seen. So these Forge maps look absolutely incredible. They 100% blur the line between dev-made and Forge-made maps. Conjurer just looks absolutely incredible. Like this looks like a dev-made map from Destiny 2, but it's made in Forge in Halo Infinite, which is so crazy to think about. And from my experience on playing these maps, it's Halo 2. If you like these Halo 2 maps, they play out like the Halo 2 maps. They don't go too crazy with it. They're not reinterpretations like we had with like the Halo 3 refill playlist, even though I enjoyed that one as well. But with this one, it's very true to the classic experience of playing these maps in Halo 2, which obviously for the anniversary of Halo 2, I'm glad they actually went forward with that. And a big thing is the starting weapon of the MA5K, the first new weapon to be added into Halo Infinite in a year and a half. I believe it was season 3 is when they added the Bandit Evo, and it's been some time, right? And that's just an iteration of the Bandit rifle that was in the game already. So it feels like it's almost been like 2 years since we've actually had like a new weapon added into the game. And the MA5K, it's a decent gun, I would say. It's fun to shoot, don't get me wrong, because like the way the recoil is, you really feel like you're shooting the weapon, having to be in a bullet hose of 60 rounds in a magazine, a high fire rate. It's fun to utilize. Now, is it the most effective weapon to use in the sandbox? You could be choosing this over the MA40. Probably not. It feels like it kind of breaks the difference really a little bit. You do get a little bit faster TTK with the MA5K compared to the MA40, but the difference is so minuscule that you won't really notice it in the moment-to-moment gameplay. But you will kill faster with the MA5K because of it being an SMG type of weapon. The reload speed is also faster with it. The max bloom speed on it is way faster than the MA40. Basically, after the first like 3 shots, you're at max bloom. But that's kind of the idea of the weapon. The idea of the weapon is just to hold down the trigger and hope for the best kind of thing, compared to the MA40, where you can kind of get away with a little tap firing experience to kind of extend that range out a little bit. I do have a video coming out later in this week showcasing the difference between the MA40 and the MA5K, and like where they both succeed and also where the differences are between the two as well. But again, like for the most part, you won't really notice a drastic difference. It's more of a minute difference between the two fully auto weapons in the game. With this update, we have a brand new perspective, I guess is the way to put it. Yeah. I do comedy, yeah, clearly. But the perspective being third-person firefight, and from my experience playing it, it's firefight but this time it's in third person, which is actually kind of fun with these more PvE modes, just because you get a chance like to see your character a little bit. Because when it comes to like a competitive shooter, right, when you're playing against 1v1 or 4v4, 8v8, I feel like that first person angle is the proper way to play. Just because you don't get because the difference between third person and first person is that third person, you can peek around corners without having to peek your character body around, which is the total advantage, disadvantage of being able to get information while playing. That's huge when it comes to a shooter. But when it comes to third person angle, like if you leave it to like the PvE modes, I say go for it. It's fun. If anything, I actually kind of prefer it to be in third person for Firefight, just because it just mixes it up a little bit, makes it a little different. I did find myself feeling a little weird when it came to reloading, just because I'm used to seeing that animation play through, and once the animation gets to that certain point when the magazine clicks into the weapon, I can Y out of it, I can cancel the reload and get back into shooting. Or being in third person, I do feel like I kind of lose that timing a little bit, and sometimes I kind of have to look back at lower right to feel like, is my ammo counter full, or did I actually fully reload? It's maybe just me just trying to mentally retrain myself when it comes to something like this. But again, like when it comes to third person, like PvE, Firefight, sure, why not? Have some fun with it. This mode will be available in PvP modes, especially for forgers as well. So I'm sure they're going to create some amazing modes out of this. It's a really cool thing you can do with third person mode, that you can actually have everyone be in first person and say like someone like the Juggernaut is in third person. You can create some really awesome modes with this when it comes to the play between third person and first person angles. Like say like a zombie mode where like the alpha zombie gets third person angle, where all the survivors get first person angle or something like that. That's where it's something that I think you'll see third person abilities to really shine in. And I've seen plenty of comments out there, especially when this was first announced during the HCS Worlds, which I was at, which was a ton of fun, that people were like, oh, this is one of their priorities of adding in third person angle into the mode, like into the game. Like, why bother with this? Well, from watching the live stream, apparently Unishack was talking about when they were doing some debugging code to try to get some third-person angles when it comes to like recording some shots for a promo for an upcoming update. Unishack's like, for how easy it was to add, go into third-person mode into the game, he was like, well, can we just add this feature into the game? And apparently it was a relatively low lift for the team to be able to put this together. There were some changes that did have to make between like how weapons fire, descope, and stuff like that, how it worked with third person, but it seems like it wasn't really that heavy of a lift. That's why you see things like third person mode come in compared to like brand new maps or brand new modes that you've never played before in Halo, because that's a huge lift to get into. And something like third person, it's like, hey, we have the people, we have the time, let's make it happen. Now, there were some minor yet significant changes made to the sandbox in Halo Infinite that was detailed in a recent blog, so you guys get the analytics of what we're actually talking about. That will show you what it actually looks like right here. So they're saying with the increased maximum bullet spread on the commando here, went from 0.9 to 0.95. Doesn't really sound like a whole lot, right? Or the area of angle also kind of increased a little bit. Faster bloom expansion, right? It's like 0.1 of like a whatever kind of number. Similar type of experience also here with it comes to the sidekick, but these minor changes really do make quite a bit of difference. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So we switch over here. I'll show you so usually you can like tap fire with the commandos to kind of like keep your shot really accurate, right? To kind of make sure your shot always goes forward or straight forward kind of thing. But when you kind of rapid fire tap, it still kind of has enough bloom to it where it will actually make it not as useful as you'd like it to be, right? It's not as much as it's definitely much more than it was previously. Same kind of thing with the sidekick as well. You can kind of see like when you're kind of tap firing it, you can still go pretty fast with it, but it definitely hits max bloom quite a bit faster than it did previously. And a massive change was made to the thruster, making it more in line to how it was in Halo 5, where basically you weren't able to shoot while thrusting right here. So you can kind of see if I maybe switch over to the commando here, I'll jump thrust and try to shoot. There is a little bit of a delay. I'll see jump thrust shoot. You can kind of see I'm holding down the trigger the entire time, where previously you were able to continuously shoot while using your thrust. Now you can shoot, thrust. You kind of see how that delay hits right there, right? Jump, thrust, shoot. Or again, I'll do it one more time for you guys here. So I'll like shoot, jump, thrust. You can kind of see how that delay hits right there. So then it doesn't make it so advantageous for you to thrust in the middle of a gunfight, right? It makes you want to think about using that thrust a little more methodically, I guess is the way to put it, a little bit more strategically than you did previously when it comes to utilizing it. Before you just kind of shoot, strafe, and then basically have the whole advantage of the game, which is a nice thing to have that kind of power, but it was a little too advantageous to see it, especially with like the pro players. They were able to take huge advantage of this. So is this the update you need to jump back in to play Halo? Well, I feel like it's kind of reminiscent to that same update that we had in the previous HCS event back at Worlds, where the Halo 3 refill playlist was announced. Like, basically, do you have nostalgia for Halo 2? Do you like how Halo 2 played? Do you want to play with some new weapons that came into the game? Well then, this update, The Great Journey, is for you. If you haven't played Halo Infinite in a long time, and you have some nostalgia for Halo 2, definitely give this a play. It's free. I mean, like, come on. It just takes your time to download. That's all it is. And it might hook you back into playing. You never know. But this is something I think 343 needs to focus on a lot more, especially with Halo Infinite while we're in this intermediate period between games right now, between Halo Infinite's launch and waiting for the new game experience to come out, or at least be announced for us guys, which I will cover on the channel as soon as we get that information. So if you guys like the type of stuff, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you guys missed any content from me recently, check out the videos right here. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out.